This is a Forgeworld Mastodon. It's one of the most expensive models produced by Forgeworld, and I interview Scott, the man who bought 3 and gave me one of them. I'm your guide, Mini Wargamer Dave, and in this video, we'll discover the insights shared by Scott, who has 40 years experience assembling Games Workshop miniatures. But first, let's dive into the lore of the Mastodon in case you're new to the Warhammer universe. In the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war. Welcome Wargamers to the universe of Warhammer 40,000, a dystopian realm set 40,000 years ahead, where endless battles rage across the stars. At the heart of humanity stands the Emperor of mankind, a near-immortal being of immense psychic power. He united Earth under his rule and set forth to reclaim the galaxy for humanity, seeking to bring order to the chaos. To achieve this grand vision, the Emperor created the Primarchs, 20 genetically engineered demigods. Each Primarch led a legion of Space Marines, superhuman soldiers bred for war, loyalty, and conquest. Amidst these epic conflicts, the need for unstoppable war machines gave birth to the Mastodon Super-Heavy Assault Transport, forged in the ancient manufactorums of Mars by the tech priests of the Adeptus Mechanicus. These colossal vehicles were built to breach the unbreachable. Constructed with layers of adamantium and ceramite, the Mastodon was designed during the Great Crusade, a time when the Emperor's legions spread across the galaxy. Its purpose? To deliver Space Marines straight into the heart of enemy fortifications, shrugging off firepower that would obliterate lesser tanks. In battle, the Mastodon is deployed by the Space Marines, especially chapters that maintain a wealth of ancient technology. It serves as both a transport and a mobile fortress, carrying entire squads through the fiercest of wars. Armed with an array of devastating weapons, laser destroyers, heavy bolters, and siege melta arrays, the Mastodon can both protect its passengers and lay waste to enemy forces. Its thick armor makes it nearly impervious to conventional attacks. However, its immense size and weight are also its weaknesses. The Mastodon is slow and can be a target for the most powerful enemy weapons. In treacherous terrains or swift-moving battles, it may struggle to keep pace. Allies see it as a symbol of the Imperium's might, while enemies recognize it as a harbinger of destruction, a nearly unstoppable force that's best avoided or taken down with overwhelming firepower. Now it's time to showcase the miniature. Like this style and format of video? Subscribe to the channel. Not only does it mean the world to me, it informs your algorithm that you want more of this kind of video. And while you're at it, leave a comment, let me know what you want me to do next.
This Mastodon is now in my collection.
Right. It's massive, Dave. Look at this thing.
And it's your fault.
It was my fault.
Yeah. So, like, can you tell me the story of how it got in my collection?
My brother obviously had sold you his World Eater army that was painted in the similar scheme, and he asked me, what do you think? What's the one unit you would think Dave would want to add to that army to really make it stand out, make it a centerpiece in the army? And I told Tom, because I just got through putting together 2 more of these, I said, Dave needs a Mastodon. What better transport vehicle
It's amazing.
than to load a whole vehicle full of berserkers,
Like 40.
take them across the field and just slaughter everything in it. And then have them jump out and rip and tear and melt and burn and maim and kill everything on the board, Dave.
I love that so much. Like, it makes a lot of sense. Like, it's pure logic. Like, what you're saying, yes.
It is.
Yes to it all.
So I was so inspired to get this done that I actually, obviously I had another one laying around.
Obviously, because
when I buy things triplicate. I actually spent the whole entire night. I stayed up from 11 p.m. when I got out of work until 6 in the morning, and I built this entire model because we wanted Aspiring Champion, our friend. We wanted to get it over to him as soon as possible to throw paint on it.
Yeah.
So I got it all completely done in one evening.
The assembly,
of the whole tank.
Cleaning, the preparation.
And I remember sending you progress pics. At one point, I think I was so delirious and tired from building this thing, I think I was chewing on the front end of this. That's why some of the battle damage is there, just to show you what I was going through to get this thing done for you.
Okay, so first off, thank you, man. Like, that's an incredible gift. So I'm always in a weird position here where it's like, obviously I want this, but I would never ask for it. So it's an unreasonable ask. I'm not going to ask anyone ever for something like this. It's way too much because it's a Forgeworld Mastodon. It's an expensive model. It's big. It's time-consuming to put together.
I like when I see you have the joy and other people I give things to have joy in their eyes. It makes it all worthwhile for me.
That's your enjoyment? So
it sure really is. I mean, for everybody, that's what gets us in the hobby. I mean, I understand once you get into it and learn all the rules and everything, that comes later. What draws people into the hobby are the miniatures, the models. It grabs you, takes you, and hey, you just pick it up from there.
Visual rule of cool. You gotta like how it looks first.
You do.
And then you want to learn more about like the lore and the Mastodon and why it's a thing and why it carries 40 berserkers and
that's true.
And all that.
I'm mainly a 30K guy. I know you and my brother love 40K, but I'm mainly a 30K guy, and that's why I have 2 other ones in my own collection. Gorgeous model, looks great, looks terrifying on the table. Look at all the spikes and all the things we added to it, and the blood and the dirt and mud and scrapes and everything. It's gorgeous, beautiful model.
Absolutely, and it looks like it's seen battle. It is actually preferred color scheme is the white or like the classic World Eaters color scheme.
Definitely.
Because you see the battle damage in the dirt and the grime so much better.
You do.
You just
makes it pop. The whole model pops.
Absolutely. I didn't know about the triplicate thing. Like that doesn't surprise me either. Things that you do in the extreme, Scott. To get one of these is nuts. It's a centerpiece for anyone's collection. But to get 3, and for this to be a pattern and a habit, you just told me you have assembled, with the exception of the Tau Manta.
It's true.
Every single Forgeworld model.
Everything Forgeworld's ever produced.
Warlord Titan, Warhammer.
Every Titan they've made, everything from Warhammer Fantasy all the way to up through 40K. I've had my hands on and I've built. So it's to the point now, most models, when my friends can't even build them, they hand them over to me. I don't even need the instructions because I'm so familiar with their stuff, I can just put it together. It's not an issue.
That's insane. I bet you could actually make guides.
If I wanted to spend the time and do it, yeah, I probably could. But it's, like I said, it's more familiarity. Once you know basically the way certain hull sections to go together on certain things, let's say just the flyers for 40K or 30K, most of them all have the same similar hulls. So if you know how to do one, they're all pretty much the same.
I see, yeah. That kind of makes sense.
Yeah, same thing with this tank. If you put enough Spartans together, it's pretty similar.
Pretty close.
It's not hard.
So what first got you into Warhammer miniatures?
Probably the classic stuff. Like when I was a kid, and the first time you saw the old plastic Space Marine set. I had never heard of 40K or Rogue Trader or anything, but I saw that plastic Space Marine set. I was all in. That was it.
That was a visual checkmate?
Yeah, and then later on, I learned about, this is the book that goes with it. Oh, here's the rules, and that's what drags you in. But the miniatures, I mean, everyone I've ever talked to, it's definitely the miniatures that draw everyone into any type of game that Games Workshop produces. It's amazing.
Is there any faction you don't like the look of?
No. I guarantee I can find a miniature in any range in any game that Games Workshop makes that is a standout miniature for me. Probably aside from the plastic Space Marines that got started, I also used to like the old Ordo Inquisitor Terminator models. There was one that came out, he had a robotic leg and a staff, and he was in Terminator armor. And then the other one, he had like a psi cannon and a hood. And I used to think those 2 models were the best. So,
what's your favorite model?
For me, I really like Sigismund from the 30K line for Imperial Fist.
All-time favorite?
All-time favorite. He's just a dynamic looking miniature, great pose. I love his story. I love what he can do on the table. I mean, he's just a great looking miniature.
In a nutshell, what's Sigismund's story?
He fought the Crusade against Horus and his rebellious brothers. Then he went off and formed the Black Templars and decided to crusade for many, many years before he met his untimely end against Abaddon again. At some point, if he didn't get old,
he would still be the best swordsman?
Hands down.
Yeah?
I mean, he wounded Abaddon very badly, I know in the books, even when he was old. But
That's true.
I love Titans. I love putting together tanks. I love it all.
Yeah, I can see it.
I love it all.
It's
gotta have it all.
It's obsession.
It is.
You're totally obsessed.
I am.
Yeah.
I got a basement full of stuff that keep me busy for the next 20 years if I want it to be that way.
How big's your pile of shame?
It's very large.
Yeah. I'm sorry. Pile of hobby hope.
Pile of. I will get to it eventually.
Yeah. How many projects have you started that are still in progress?
So currently I'm working on 6 armies for 30K. I just never stop.
Currently working on 6.
Yeah. So, and then when I'm not doing that, if friends give me models, hey, can you put this together for me? Can you do this? Can you do that? I'll throw that stuff together too. I'm always busy. I'm always got stuff going on. I'm a busy guy too. I work a couple jobs, but I still manage to find time every weekend to put together models.
What's the feeling of it? I want to know. Like what goes on through the mind of Scott as you're sitting, assembling, looking? gluing, painting?
I don't know. It's relaxing for me. It takes my mind off things. The only reason why I do it, just it takes your mind somewhere else. I don't have to worry about what's the problem today. I'm not worried about that. I'm going to put together this model.
You listen to music?
Sometimes. Most of the time, no. I'll just sit there and I'll do it at a buddy's house, and we'll just chat back and forth over putting models together. So
that is the best, actually. Yeah. I love that. I love it because, like, with dudes, if you're doing something side by side, then that's like great conversation.
It's also nice when you're working with someone that they can actually look at what you're doing and critique if something doesn't look right, or for some reason, no, that's kind of warped. You might want to fix that. It's going to make the model look a little wonky.
How many years experience then would you say you have assembling miniatures?
Probably since '84. So
you have 40 years experience.
Yeah, a long time.
So what would you say to someone brand new, very first set, getting into the hobby? What's some pointers you would give them?
Take your time. Don't be intimidated. Read your directions carefully, more than once. Sometimes 2, 3, 4 times, because I found that some of the more intricate kits, they really don't go into detail and show you, oh, okay, well, you should have snipped it here, and when you put together, it doesn't look right, or it doesn't fit right. Also with Forgeworld models, when you're working on them, they have a level of expertise that they don't really tell you. If you're not comfortable with sometimes cutting parts off, reshaping them, using filler, you might be a little hesitant to tackle the model. But anything's fixable, anything can be built, as long as you go into that mindset and take your time. Just have patience. I've seen people throw models across rooms because they're so frustrated with it. And it's just pretty fun. It's supposed to be released. It's supposed to be a hobby. You're not supposed to get frustrated with it and throw it across the room.
Have you ever thrown a model across the room?
Never. I've had some doozies where I thought I can't pull this off, but I did.
Which one? What was the biggest doozy?
So I was putting together the Tau Tornauer battle suit, with the big guns on his back.
Yes, I try not to think of Tau, but yes, I know which one you're talking about.
And I magnetized every portion of it. I wanted his legs to be fully articulated. I wanted to be able to put him in any pose. And I used some I thought were pretty strong earth magnets. And when I stood him up, he literally just sunk down to the ground. He did not stay in any pose. So I realized I put too much into it and articulated him too much. So I had to go back and change some things. I had to find a better pose that I could put him in. His waist still turned, and he kind of pivoted a little bit, but I couldn't get the full articulation on his legs that I wanted.
You've cycled through every army.
Yeah,
every model.
At one point in my hobby career, I've probably owned 20 or more thousand of every army in the game.
Like 20,000 points? Of each army?
Miniatures, vehicles, yeah, just it's crazy.
Because you have multiple armies at the same time, right?
I do.
But but from the sounds of it, you cycle through them.
I do. I tend to, and people who know me best, I will play an army until I get tired of it, and then I'll either give it away or I will sell it.
Then it fuels the next army,
or it doesn't fuel anything, and I just build another army.
We just build it and you give it away.
That's also another thing. Sometimes some of the stuff is really can take away most of your pocketbook, but that's all right. Better to be doing this than probably making some other worse choices.
Worse
in my
choices.
life.
Yeah. I suppose it's the.
So this will keep me home at least, or with a friend at a friend's house where if someone needs to reach a hold of me, they know I'm not out gallivanting around town.
Causing trouble in a Mastodon.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
I see. Thanks again for this.
Hey, my pleasure. More's on the way, I'm sure.